In a season where the Buffalo Bills overcame a lot, there was just too much to overcome in Denver, and the season is over. My reaction is coming your way today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate you all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode every game day during the NFL playoffs. FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, folks, the Buffalo Bills lost to the Denver Broncos 33-30 in overtime, and the season is over. And it's another great season with a bad ending. And the Bills overcame a lot this year, a ton, but could not overcome 5 giveaways, could not overcome the injuries, and the season ends. I know many of you are hurting. We know the players and coaches are hurting. That was a sad locker room. That was a beat-up locker room. And we're all just left wondering if it's ever going to be our turn. It's heavy and it's real. Had some great chances to put that game away. There's going to be a ton of conversations about officiating. And of course, I believe Brandin Cooks caught the ball. And I'm greatly disappointed in the review process. It was a monumental play. And it just doesn't feel like that was a very thorough process. Sean McDermott called a timeout to try to provoke more attention to it, and doesn't feel like it got anywhere. It's hard to swallow that. I mean, if that is called a catch, like there's a very clear argument for there to be made that it was a catch. Well, the Bills probably kick a game-winning field goal. For it to feel like it was kind of glossed over is a disservice to everybody. Like, not just the players and coaches, but fans and people that have vested interests in the game. Kind of glossed over. Of course, I'm frustrated by the pass interference call on Tre'Davious White, especially after they didn't call it on Riley Moss in the end zone earlier in the game. And the refs, they called a loose game until they didn't. They let the players play, and then all of a sudden, they changed their philosophy. And so I'm frustrated with a lot of things, but I'm mostly frustrated by the Bills' mistakes. Because they did ultimately have a great chance to win the football game. Despite all the mistakes they made, despite all the injuries and in-game injuries. Despite it all, they had great chances to win the football game and couldn't get it done. Let's talk a little bit about those mistakes. First of all, James Cook's fumble. The Bills were driving, looking to open up a 14-3 lead. And not only do you not get any points, you fumble the ball, and Denver gets a touchdown. And instead of opening up a 14-3 or 10-3 lead, you're now down 10-7. It was a huge swing. Josh Allen's fumble before the half. What do you even say? It's an awful play. 17 seconds. You're already down by 7, and you gift them an opportunity for a field goal. And now you're down 2 possessions at the half, as opposed to being down 1 and getting the ball first out of the half. I mean, it's a mind-numbing mistake. Then the Bills open the second half with a strip sack, and you give them 3 more points. Then you have Josh Allen's first interception where he severely underthrows Curtis Samuel, which is especially disappointing because it's 2 plays after Deion Walker has an interception to give the Bills good field position, and then Josh Allen severely underthrows Curtis Samuel, and it's picked off. And then there's the air quotes interception on the Brandin Cooks throw. And so those are going to stand out as turnovers. But I think about other opportunities. The missed throw to Dawson Knox before Matt Prater's field goal from 50 yards to tie the game. Like Josh Allen missed a touchdown throw to Dawson Knox. It's incomplete, and you got to settle for the field goal instead of the win. How about the play before the interception to Brandin Cooks? You have a great opportunity to hit a open McCole Hardman, and Josh Allen's got to throw a better ball. How about Larry Ogunjobi jumping off sides on a play that the Bills force and recover a fumble? And that is completely negated because Larry Ogunjobi jumps off sides and they still get a field goal out of the drive. Just a lot of bad mistakes in this football game. And despite it all, you had a great chance to win it, but you got to make the plays. You got to make the plays. You got to not make the mistakes. I don't think anybody would watch that football game and think Denver outplayed the Bills. They just less mistaked the Bills. And as I've said before, and I'll probably say again, games in the NFL oftentimes are lost more than they are won. And the Denver Broncos advance, but I feel like this game is a whole lot more about the Bills losing it than Denver winning it. And that's very unfortunate and disappointing, and you just wonder what's next, right? How do you rally? What do you do? I mean, do you have any other choice but to just go into the offseason and regroup and try to get better and go compete? That's all you can do. But this one's going to sting. It does sting. And I think about this being like a legitimately a resilient football team. It's probably the most resilient version of the Bills I've seen. And they forced some of their own resiliency in this one by making a lot of mistakes that made this game a lot tougher than it needed to be. You made too many mistakes this time, and it ends in Denver. All right, more to do. Coming up next, I want to talk about injuries, wide receivers, some of the highlights on offense and defense, and the unfortunate things from this game that won't be remembered but should. So we'll talk about that all here next. Folks, be sure to stick with me. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge, but with Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never slows down, and Prize Picks lets you stay in control. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on projections, not drafts or waiting, or all you do here is pick more or less and you play your way. Getting started on Prize Picks is quick and simple. The app is easy to navigate, and it's going to make watching games more engaging, especially when you're following individual player performances. You're going to love the new early payouts feature. That's a game changer because if a player starts hot, you can cash out before the game ends. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. The playoffs are here, folks, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. So each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets that you like most. So make sure you open that profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. And the boosts are going to let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. It's going to make every play feel bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. All right, folks, welcome back. Reacting to this 33-30 overtime loss in Denver. Injuries. A huge story of the season. Guys banged up. Of course, going into this game, you know about the players the Bills didn't have. Harrison, Poyer, Bernard. I mean, obviously, you got some deep cuts like a Michael Hoyt. And they were banged up all season long, but the in-game injuries were just huge. They were huge. Dorian Williams has a neck injury on the opening kick, and that affects the Bills' defense in a big way. Not only for your ability to play three linebackers, which the Bills do, but for the pass rush stuff and the contain and the spy mirror stuff that we love against a quarterback like Bo Nix. And early in the game, I mean, Bo Nix's legs were definitely a factor. And certainly the pass rush throughout the game wasn't what it needed to be. And so you lose Dorian Williams early, and that affects your football team. You lose Connor McGovern for a little bit, right? Was evaluated for a concussion. And during the time that he's not on the field, Alec Anderson steps in and has a bad snap when the Bills are threatening to score, and you basically waste a second down play and you wind up settling for a field goal. It costs you. It costs you when Cam Lewis got hurt, right? He had cramps, had to go to the locker room and get an IV. They put in Darnell Savage, and the Broncos immediately go after him and score a touchdown. Trey White gets hurt for literally one play, and Dane Jackson goes in and gives up a touchdown. I mean, it's extremely frustrating. And if I'm not mistaken, the Connor McGovern injury happened on James Cook's fumble. So, like, legitimately bad things happen in game because you wind up having 4 injuries during the game that are very costly. Speaking of very costly things, I mean, how about wide receiver talent? I mean, I'm very frustrated that certain things happened in this game, whether it was missed throws or chances to make a catch and not making a catch. But ultimately, the Bills' lack of wide receiver talent was pretty obvious in this game. For as much as we talk about late season football, about it being running the ball and stopping the run, and the Bills' 2 playoff games that we saw this year, the team that ran the ball better and stopped the run did not win the game. Bills stopped the run well. They ran the ball well. They didn't win. Against Jacksonville, they did not run the ball well. The Jaguars ran the ball well. Who won the game? Bills. It's more and more about these quarterbacks and passing offense delivering in big moments. And Josh Allen is throwing the ball to guys that, I mean, just got there or have been in and out of the lineup all season. I mean, Brandin Cooks, McCole Hardman, Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman. Khalil Shakir's a mainstay, but you saw the lack of skill. You saw the lack of cohesion and timing because it's been a revolving door because you don't have answers. And, of course, you have injuries. A stat brought up by Matt Beauvais. Josh Allen was 20 of 25 for 247 yards and a touchdown when throwing to tight ends, running backs, and Khalil Shakir. when targeting the Bills' other 4 receivers, so Cooks, Hardman, Samuel, and Coleman, he was 5 of 14 for 36 yards with a touchdown and 2 interceptions. It can't be this hard on Josh Allen, right? Like, Josh Allen deserves a ton of criticism. I've given out a ton of criticism to Josh Allen today and throughout the season. But I don't know how you don't put more of an emphasis on loading it up for him to maximize his output and his production, and to make sure when you need game-winning drives in the postseason that it's not Brandin Cooks, who's been here for 6 weeks, that you're relying on to make a play on the field, or you're relying on Josh Allen to hit a throw to McCole Hardman, who, I mean, what he playing like 1 game prior and got hurt and comes into this one. You're targeting Curtis Samuel in the red zone and on the game-winning drive, trying to do a game-winning drive, and because you had to bring Curtis Samuel back off injured reserve, you do. I mean, we got to get real about this. Your team-building approach can't be, well, we have Josh Allen, and so let him figure out. It needs to be, we need to optimize Josh Allen. Josh Allen's the best player in the league. Multiply what he does by giving him legit stuff to generate offense with, as opposed to, oh, Josh will figure it out. He'll figure it out. We don't have to be super sound with our protection schemes because we can do it like this and Josh will figure it out. Like, what's the Bills' offensive identity? Of course, there's run the ball with James Cook, and then in the passing game, it's, well, Josh will figure it out. Okay. That's silly. That's silly. And ultimately, like, the Bills did the stuff offensively in this game. They scored 30 points. They got 28 first downs. They got 450 total yards. They had 183 yards rushing. They went 11 of 16 on possession downs. They possessed the ball for 10 more minutes. They did the stuff except for the part that you can't really predict, and it's that you're going to turn it over 5 times. The Bills had 11 possessions, 6 scores, 5 giveaways. Insane. I thought the defense, for the most part, played well. They're put in some tough spots. They got some big stops. They overcame some short fields. And it felt like, outside of a couple of early drives, the reason Denver got some big scores late in the game was assisted by the refs. Some things that we won't remember in this game, and that's unfortunate. You know, I think about, a lot of these playoff losses, there's moments that will be forgotten that were really special plays, but because you don't win the game, they're forgotten. How about Deion Walker's interception? That's an unbelievable play. Cole Bishop with 2 huge tackles for loss. That third down touchdown reception by Dalton Kincaid was exceptional, especially after missing Curtis Samuel on the play before that should have been a touchdown. Keon Coleman scored a touchdown. It was a great effort. Khalil Shakir did, Khalil Shakir things on at least one big catch over the middle, yards after catch. How about Matt Prater coming in and going 3 for 3, including a 50-yarder to send it to overtime? Like, miss the kick and the season's over, or make it from 50 and you go to overtime. The guy came through after that quad deal and was lights out in the postseason for the Bills. All right, we got more to do. I want to talk briefly about like what this team's got to figure out in the offseason. We will recap my predictions, and we'll talk a little bit about what's next for Bills squad and, of course, this podcast. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. Hey, guys, the draft positions are set, and so many teams are looking for their franchise quarterback. Ever wish to become a pro quarterback getting drafted by your team? Well, now you can. There's a mobile game that's just for you called Ultimate QB Football Legend. In this game, you step into the cleats of a number 1 draft pick, and it's your job to lead your team to greatness to help turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. This is the number 1 QB career mode on the mobile app stores, and it introduces the most realistic environment with full career control. You'll sign contracts, train, and upgrade yourself. You'll build chemistry and evolve your teammates. You'll give input to your general manager on roster moves. You'll play the actual games in 2D and rise through the ranks to become a pro football legend. You'll deal with the ups and downs of a quarterback career, from rookie nerves to playoff drama, and every choice is going to shape your journey. Ultimate QB is totally free. It has no ads and works 100% offline. Perfect for when you want to sneak in a quick game or two on the go. Just head on over to ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com, or search Ultimate QB in your app store. We got something special just for you. Use the promo code LOCKEDON, all caps, in the game store to get a free boost at the start of your career. Ultimate QB football legend QB1. It's your legacy. Welcome back, folks. Of course, it's off-season mode, right? It is off-season mode. And I'll admit to you that I have briefly looked at some of the decisions the Bills have to make, but I've been dialed in on this season, right? So I got a lot of work to do in terms of really familiarizing myself with the salary cap situation, the expiring contracts, the free agent market, the draft prospects. I got a lot to do, and we'll do it. We'll do it all. We'll do it all. I mean, I love the rhythm of the season, and I love covering games and get ready for the next game. It's a blast. I love the offseason too, right? I love team building, and I'm excited to really study this all and share my thoughts with you, and of course react to it every step of the way. So Locked On Bills, we go daily all year long. So whether it's in season, March, July, June, May, it does not matter. This podcast will be here for you, and so will Bill Squad. Bill Squad will continue with our twice weekly roundtable discussions featuring myself, Jeremy White, and Jerry Ostrowski. So we're very excited for that as well. So keep it locked in right here. Make sure that you're subscribed, and we will talk all the way through all of it. And I like to get into some creative things in the off season. So I'll plan it all out, and we'll have a good time here. So I hope that you'll be part of it. But this team, the Bills, have a lot to figure out. Of course, I think step one is, are there staff changes, right? Is there coaching staff changes? Are there executive changes? I'm not really expecting anything, but you never know. I think about the support staff, like the assistant staffs. Did any of the coaches retire? And maybe there's a big one that retires in there, and the Bills have to find a new important position coach, or you never know. There's all these new staffs across the league. There's nine new coaching staffs across the league. Could somebody get plucked for a bigger role on a different staff? You just never know, like, what you have to do to rebuild your staff. There's usually some changes. You got two starting offensive linemen in David Edwards and Connor McGovern that are expiring contracts, not to mention Alec Anderson and Ryan Vandemark, who are restricted free agents. You got a ton to figure out at receiver, a ton. Like, what do you actually feel like you have outside of Khalil Shakir? It's a big question. At defensive end, expiring contracts in Joey Bosa and AJ Epinesa. Of course, you're getting Michael Hoyt back, and that'll be huge. Defensive tackle, Daquan Jones is an expiring contract. At linebacker, Matt Milano and Shaq Thompson are expiring contracts. You need a safety next to Cole Bishop. You need general depth. You need young players to get better, right? I mean, this 2025 draft class, all these defensive players, Max Hairston, TJ Sanders, Landon Jackson, Deion Walker, Jordan Hancock, they got to get ramped up, right? Those are huge players for the next several seasons, right? Hopefully for a long time, some of those guys. Their improvement is going to be huge. Getting healthy. Obviously, Josh Allen, banged up, right? He needs to rest up and get healthy. Dalton Kincaid, like, let's go. Fix your knee and become a star. Right? I mean, the talent is so obvious. Just get your knee right. I think you could be like a 100-catch tight end. Ed Oliver, get healthy, dude. Landon Jackson, Michael Hoyt, Terrell Bernard, Max Hairston, Tyler Bass. This guy's got to get healthy. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of surgeries. Guys battled all year long. My predictions, let's recap them real quick. My first prediction was that James Cook would go over 76.5 rushing yards. Of course, he did that, 117 rushing yards. My second prediction was that Brandin Cooks would go over 28.5 receiving yards. Well, that didn't happen. He got 20. I think there's a pretty strong case that he probably should have had that catch at the end. He also had a nice opportunity along the sideline where he couldn't get a second foot down. So he comes under. He gets 20 receiving yards. I predicted that Josh Allen would get sacked 2 or less times. He got sacked 3 times, so I just missed there. I predicted that the Bills offense would top the Broncos season averages for third down and red zone rate. That happened, both of them. The Broncos third down rate for the year was 34%. The Bills converted 10 of 15, so 67%. The Broncos red zone defense was 43% for the season. The Bills go 3 for 5, so 60%. They shattered both of their season averages. Gave up a lot. I mean, they got a lot more points and yards than, Denver's really given up all year. Feel like you did the stuff. I think that's where I'm disappointed. You did the stuff. You kind of played the game that I thought you would. How do you figure that they're going to turn it over 5 times? It's like a huge part of the puzzle that is just unexpected. If the Bills turned it over 3 times, it would be a lot. They did 5. I don't like to do the thing where it's like, well, if you did this or didn't do that, it's a different result. But I mean, geez, right? And now you got to live in a world where, Bo Nix fractures his ankle in this game. So the reality is either Drake May or CJ Stroud are going to the Super Bowl. And the Bills have won a playoff game every year for 6 straight years and haven't even gotten there. And every team, the Bills are one of 4 teams in the history of the NFL. The Bills are one of 4 teams in the history of the NFL to win a playoff game in 6 consecutive seasons. The other 3 that did this won 3 Super Bowls each. The Bills haven't even been there. When's it going to be our turn? When's it going to be our turn? It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And I've said to you repeatedly throughout the season that if this Bills team was the one that had the breakthrough, I'd be surprised. And I probably still would have been surprised, but you felt like the opportunity was there. And we know what it takes to get through a season, right? It's an absolute battle of attrition. And when you get injured like the Bills do, it's even harder. And the things that have to go right to get right back to these spots, like, I don't take for granted what it is. I don't take it for granted. Look at the Ravens and the Chiefs this year. They're supposed to be in these games. They didn't make it. They didn't make it. I don't take it for granted. And that's what makes it tough. Because as long as the Bills have Josh Allen, I think they got a chance to win the Super Bowl. I think they've proven that over the last couple of years. But every year that goes by is a year that it doesn't happen. And so I certainly understand the frustrations, the anger. And you just wonder when it's going to be our turn. And we are unfortunately no closer to having that answer. But we know that it's not this year. All right. Well, that's it, folks. That's it for this reaction. We got more to do. We'll do the All-22 review. There's obviously going to be a ton of news throughout the course of the week as we see where some things go. See what immediate decisions we get, any staff changes, all that stuff. We'll talk about it all. And obviously we'll assess it all and we'll get ready for it all and rally, right? What else can you do? What else can you do? What else can you do? So we'll rally and we'll try to come up with some great ideas for this team to knock down that door that we've been waiting so long for them to knock down. All right. That's going to do it for us here today, folks. I greatly appreciate you being here. As always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Always and forever, Go Bills.